Yo, what it is, everybody? Thanks for tuning back into another episode here on the Speedbug channel. Well, hey, today we got more of a video that's going to be more involved with you guys as your audience, and more this is in the comment section that I'm actually asking for your guys' opinion, because this is going to be a little bit more of a debatable style kind of topic. Now, this video is going to have many points and many sides to this video, not just myself. And obviously the title of the video is the Gsxr 1000R a better bike than the BMW, the 2020 S1000RR, or hell, even the previous gen. But before I go, and before you guys ridicule me and stuff like that, I'm gonna make my valid points, and then I also want you all to make your valid points. Because I do feel that this bike behind me does a lot of things better than the BMW, even though the BMW is supposed to be the holy grail bike. And they did set the bar very high. So did Suzuki. Now, there's quite a few things to factor in and consider here before we just answer yes and no. And for the ones that have had this bike, meaning the S1000RR, the old one, specifically, because not a lot of people have the new one just yet. BMW's kind of been slacking on shipments, but the older ones, which I was an owner of the older one, I had a 2015, and I really want you guys to comment and share, because some of the other viewers that, let's just say the bougie bitches out there that, you know, just gotta have the name brand, that say, oh, Ducati's the best, oh, BMW's gonna be the best, because it's that top tier brand name rather than like a Suzuki or Yamaha or something like that. And whatever, I get it. But just because it has a brand name, that doesn't mean that it's actually going to be better. And that's been proven many times. And until you ride and own these bikes, not just go on a quick test ride by letting the dealership, you know, let you go ride it for 5 minutes, you know, you have to really deal with ownership. And you guys have seen a lot of the way I review these bikes, because Motorcycle Mag, Drag Time, you know, all these, you know, they review these bikes here and do them one thing only, as on the racetrack, pushing them to their limits. But you guys got to remember, you buy these bikes to go out with your girlfriends, your boyfriends, whatever it may be, cruising down the strip at, you know, nighttime, city driving, highway driving, occasional track day, occasional street racing pull, commuting back and forth to work. And those are a lot of the things that all those motorcycle magazines do not do. And those tests that they do not do. They cover that topic just a little bit. But they're not like, oh, well, I'm going to sit in traffic on a 90-degree day and figure out exactly how hot is this thing. Is it going to roast my nuts? Am I sweating to the point where I don't even want to be on this shit? And stuff like that. How is the seat? We already know. Seats like the M competition seats that are on the Ducati. This is very similar to a Ducati seat. Smaller, less padding, provides you a little bit more feel of the bike. I get it. Makes perfect sense on the racetrack. Then you come over to a seat like this, and you have a lot of cushion. Now, some people say it provides a false sense of security. But the upside to that is when you're riding back and forth to work, you got your backpack on, your laptop in your bag, your lunch, whatever it may be, that seat really pays dividends on your ass cheeks. Because then you're like, well, you know what, that wasn't that bad. I'm going to go ride after work too. I'm going to go ride with my homies after work. I'm going to ride that bike tomorrow. Or that one you may ride only one day a week because your ass cheeks are so sore it feels like you done just got out of jail. So, long story short, both bikes have their purpose. And either way, it doesn't really matter. I want to know exactly what you guys think. So, let me point out why I think the Gsxr is better than even the 2020 BMW, and then I'm going to do the same thing. So quick, right off the bat, I'm going to first start off, well, you already know with the seat, but that's something that's really quick and interchangeable. So we're going to get the other seat on the other BMW, the non-M model, and that should take care of quite a few bit. The second and the most important thing in my book, in my opinion, why I think this bike is bang for the buck is because of its price. You can have this bike here for $13,000 USD in a lot of places here out the door. Where can you really get that? That's literally half the cost of the BMW. So $13,000 out the door, even a leftover model, you can get an 18, and it's half the price. Well, let's just say you even go all out, balls to the wall with like putting carbon fiber wheels and everything on this bike. Like you can be all in for this thing, 5 Gs, and still be under 20 grand, where that's still not even the base price of the M model. So bang for buck, it's really there. Now, torque, I think riding this bike around town is a lot better than riding that bike around town. This bike creates a hell of a lot more torque, even in stock form. Not just saying that because mine is flashed. I had my bike when it was stock. I'm the one that flashed it, so I know exactly what it made when it was stock. And around for town, that torque is a little bit more important. Up top, the BMW is going to be a little bit faster, and it did actually make more power up top, I believe even in stock form, than my flash Gsxr. But again, are you riding around town at 12,000 RPM all the time? Odds are you're not. And if you are, you need to be on the racetrack and not doing that around town. Suspension is great, but it's not better than the BMW because this BMW has adaptive suspension. This has a Showa BFF shocks and stuff like that, and it's great, and it does great for the street, and it's even great on the racetrack. But I will tell you this BMW really has it beat there. It's a second rendition of the R1M suspension, and it is freaking killer. The riding and seating position, now for the street, again, we're talking here for the street, riding this bike on the street, this has a much bigger tank than the BMW and much fatter handle grips. So it allows you to provide a little bit more leg support and take a lot of that weight off of your chest, and it allows you to put your feet actually wider so that you spread more of your body weight out. And then when you do grip the handlebars, it's a wider grip rather than a more narrow grip as it is on the BMW. Very similar handlebars to like almost a Ducati, but not completely. The Ducatis were just very small, more race inspired. The BMW is right in between the Ducati and here. So now that I've kind of picked on this one, let's go to this one, where this bike outshines, in my opinion. Hands down, the first thing I'm going to say, because it's my favorite part of the whole bike, is the suspension with the adaptive riding modes. So when it does ride like complete shit in race mode, as it's supposed to, in the compression and the rebound, it's supposed to be super tight on the racetrack. That's great. When you're riding to the racetrack, you put it in road mode or dynamic mode, and it adjusts to how you ride, and it really adjusts to the point where it's like a cruiser, where how soft it can get, and it's awesome. And it really does help with the shitty seats, because I really do believe if this bike had a much better seat or didn't have the M competition seat, it really would make the motorcycle much different. And a lot of people that I've talked to, and I hope you all are watching this, that you can comment on yourself too, that if said it, the suspension's great, but the seat just sucks. So that really will make the world of a difference. The handlebars and everything, like I said, is great. One thing that they have revised for the 2020 is that you guys can see how they're not clip-ons anymore. The handlebars are actually part of the triple tree. So even now the tank is more narrow, because the old one had a tank more similar to the Gsxr. This tank is a little bit more narrow, but the handlebars are wider. So it feeding position and the foot position is still pretty much the same, but it allows your handlebar and the hands and shoulders to be a little bit more spread. And I will tell you this, riding this, it had more of like a Yamaha feel before, and now it's like that in between of like the Yamaha and the Suzuki, because hands down, I will say, out of all the crotch rockets, the Suzuki hands down 100% is the most comfortable bike I've ever ridden. Not this one, just the brand in general, the Gsxr 1000, this model. BMW isn't far behind it with that suspension, but the position itself is still more aggressive than the Gsxr. Where this bike excels a lot more over the Gsxr, well, I gotta tell you right off the bat, and we can show you, it's gonna be the tech. And you can't argue or sit here and say, when you compare this screen to the Gsxr screen, that shit looks like it's from 1985. But BMW never comes to play in second place when it comes to luxury and technology. So you do get the cruise control, you do get the heated grips and stuff like that, and it's fantastic and it's great. Where this really does outshine it is when you have like a Sena or a Bluetooth helmet, which you should most of the time always be riding with a helmet, is that you can configure it to show all of your music and do everything inside of the motorcycle. So if you don't have like an Apple Watch, maybe you're an Android person and you don't have an Android watch and you don't get all your directions or whatever on your watch, you can actually get all of your navigation information here on the screen. Change all of your media, meaning like your music, whatever it is that you're listening to. Get your phone information, see who's calling you, text messages and all that jazz. And you can, obviously you can't text and drive, but you could speak to talk. And then of course, you can change the way the screen looks. So we can just change one here, just so I could show you guys here on YouTube. And we'll go to sport, we'll just change it to this first one here. And you can change it at any given time. So there's plenty of things to do, and this bike definitely has more aids, which makes it great, like the rain mode and stuff like that. Not that the Suzuki doesn't have a rain mode. It kind of does, but it kind of doesn't. It's more of a power mode, like an ABC type thing. This is really more specific. You got dynamic road, you have race pro, you can customize. You can customize that one a little bit, but just not as much as this. And you can really set the bike up to kind of tailor how you want it to be around the racetrack. And where this bike to me now, where the Suzuki is a 17, this one is a 20. 3 years, that's a big age jump. And you can definitely tell, though, this bike is definitely more race-inspired. Not that Suzuki isn't race-inspired, because they've won many World Superbikes and stuff like that, and BMW just doesn't. They win in other areas, but hey, then again. So you just kind of have to figure it. You know, this bike's like 26, 25 G's or so out the door, and you can get this joker here for 13 out the door. So if you mod it and do everything, even if you did like a heads cam package, especially with torque and horsepower with a heads cam package on this Gsxr, I could tell you this, there's no way in hell that S1000 is going to be able to beat and catch this bike. That's for sure. But just with the flash and stuff like that, and you know, you can get a nice good flash, and especially if you have a good tuner, if you're a tuner, you can do it yourself. $100 after you buy the bin files and stuff like that. It's pretty straightforward. So argumentally, dollar for dollar, that's why I kind of tip my hat so much to this bike, because with the mechanical VVT on this bike, where this one doesn't necessarily have VVT, it has it electronically, but it has shift cam. It's a different type of cam timing inside of the cylinder head. What they do say with the new Gsxr, that it's supposed to remain with the mechanical VVT and supposedly get shift cam. That's the rumor. I don't know if that's true. But again, both bikes have their pros and cons. That's why I couldn't get rid of this bike, and that's why I couldn't get rid of this bike. I will say this to everyone that's really watching. I do, and I'm not going to lie, even though I've had this bike now for about a month, I really do enjoy riding the Gsxr more around town, doing putt-putts and stuff like that, than the S1000RR. Even though I had an S1000RR and that was my only bike, and I had it for 4 years, and it was great, and I loved it, and that's why I bought another one. But Suzuki really did wonders with this new bike, and I haven't done a lot of mods to this, and you'll be amazed what this thing does. And if you're balling on a budget, this thing can just not be touched, and that's kind of what I've been. But that's just enough for me. But I want to know what you guys think, and for the ones that have Gsxrs, please comment below, and for the ones that have S1000s, please comment below the previous gens. And if you had an S1000, that's probably not your first bike, so you come from other bikes, whether it be a ZX10 or something like that, or a Gsxr. Bikes that are going to have torque, or like a Hayabusa, you guys will really know what I'm talking about. And then when you go to the Beamer, you really see that it lacks that torque, but it really makes up for it when you get past that 10,000 RPM and pulls like a freaking freight train. So, but yeah, that's why I think it's better. It's better. It's a better buy, like, you know, dollar for dollar. It's kind of like a Corvette. You know, it's the best car you can buy, horsepower, performance, and torque in the world for the money. Not saying that there's nothing better out there. You know, let's just even say like a Lamborghini. It does things better, but it doesn't mean it's always a better car. Nothing is going to be always the best at everything, and that's kind of what I'm trying to say here. So, well, yeah, let me know what you guys think. I figured this would be an interesting video, and hopefully we get a lot of comments on it. But that's going to wrap it up here for today's video. I hope you guys like this one, and if we do, let me know. We'll do some other ones. Thanks for tuning in. Facebook, Instagram, @TheSpeedBug. Same name here as YouTube. Peace.